Welcome to the 272nd and perhaps final episode of News Dump, where we run through the hottest topics in the Lewis County news scene and discuss. I'm local man Aaron VanTuyl, joined by Chronicle executive editor, who doesn't want to be called executive, just an editor, Eric Schwartz.
It's not my title. I'm not executive.
What is your title?
Just editor-in-chief, that's all. Very simple.
And a simple man. And we're joined in spirit by sponsors Summit Funding, Chehalis Outfitters, and the Roof Doctor. You're back in the office today. How's that feel?
I'm feeling well.
Feeling terse.
I'm feeling well, feeling good, all caught up, ready to face the back half of the week. My favorite half of the week.
Yeah. Any preambles from you?
No, I don't. I had a whole bunch of burns for you because it is April Fool's Day, but just call you a piece of shit and we can roll from here.
Oh, God. You really are worked up today.
Sorry.
A lot of non-news that's got you in a flurry.
That wasn't a joke, though. You are.
The AAUW held its book sale. Didn't see you there.
No, I wasn't there. They raised $25,000. Did you know that?
Yeah, and about 7 of those dollars were from yours truly.
You probably went in there. You're just the type of, you only go on there in the $5 fill a bag day, don't you?
I was there when Otto was there. I had a doctor's appointment and stopped by afterwards.
How come you weren't in any of his photos?
I don't know. I looked through to see if he got a picture of me, but there was a lot of people there. A lot of good stuff. There was a guy going through the bins of DVDs with a scanner hooked to his phone so we could scan the barcode.
That happens every year.
I'd never seen it before.
Yeah, there's a whole layer of professional book pricers and sellers who go there. I've seen them for the last several years. There's usually like 2 or 3 of them if you got a good crowd in there. And they're just scanning, seeing how much they can sell it for, and if they can sell it for a pretty penny, they take it, and if they don't, they won't. I
was like, is that ethical? And I was like, you know what? The money goes to the same place, whatever.
You forget that I was once part of the book sales industry through my friendship with David Kyle Lindsay. So.
Oh, right. He was
I know a lot
for
about
a
this.
While. Yeah,
know a lot about the book biz.
Any good April Fool's Day bits get you?
No. And I subscribe to the former editor, Brian Mitke's school of the newspaper. Probably shouldn't be doing the April Fool's stuff, so I tried not to share any of them. I saw a few that made me chuckle. South Sound Speedway had their announcement that they were going to have a dome or they finished the roof. AI has brought these April Fool's things where you can actually have a believable image, so let's see. I saw the Centralia Police Department was going to start a guinea pig program.
Okay.
Other than that, I didn't see anything that was like wildly impressive.
All right.
AI has sucked the fun out of April Fool's Day for me.
Can you still tell
Since
an
there's
AI...
fools there all year round, you don't need to wait for April 1st.
I like how you gesture at me when you say fools.
Yeah, I did.
All the way around.
Pointed directly at you.
Can you still tell an AI photo?
I think that I can, but obviously... I mean, if no one's proving me wrong and I'm like, that's real, and I move along in my feed, then I obviously could have been fooled too. I've seen some very smart people recently that are sharing things that just are quite obviously not real.
All right.
That's why April 1st, it's just, it doesn't mean anything anymore. We just got this year round. Yeah,
I didn't see anything extremely interesting on social media that I was like, oh, that's a good bit. Nothing got me this year.
No Zins or cuck chair content to... interest you?
No, I mean, the cuck chairs showing up in my Instagram algorithm remain hilarious, but
yeah, I wonder why those are there.
Yeah,
it's truly a mystery how those things land in your algorithm and all.
When are you going to get Instagram? I'm trying to screenshotting things and sending them to you.
I have it again now. So
good.
Actually, I think the last time you tried to send me something, I was like, all right, I'll just log in. And I couldn't remember my password, is why I didn't try for several years. And then I realized if you're already logged in on Facebook and you get Instagram, it just automatically logs you in. So I could have had it that entire time, and I just didn't.
Think all the great memes you missed.
I can't imagine the perversions you use your Instagram feed for. I wouldn't even want to see it. It'd be highly offensive.
I promise you would want to see it.
I don't think I would.
So, do you want to start with the news items on the list, or do you want to start with the Centralia City Council
Let's do that
brief candidacy?
Let's do that one.
Centralia City Council seat again open a week after new appointment. The city council determined Cameron Bloom did not meet the qualifications for office. Why do you think that was?
I think, as many have pointed out, residency might have been the big issue. And then there were some other issues as well that we were working on, more timed for his scheduled appointment to council, which I think was supposed to be next Tuesday.
Uh-huh.
But no, beyond that, I can't venture. I think there's stuff there out in the public that people can look at. Residency being the big thing, and then maybe some stuff in his background.
Yeah, the residency seems to be. It basically seems like a few. I think Zach Eckstein had the column that was
he did.
It covered a lot of topics.
He did. Brittany Voy was his source material for a lot of it, I think.
Yeah. Basically the gist of it was he doesn't even go here.
Yeah.
And it turns out that kind of looks like maybe he doesn't even go here. Bloom was a nightclub owner, a DJ, various other things, a lot of it involving Lacey. He's got like a shop warehouse down here just off of, is it just off 1st Street? Maybe 2nd? A couple blocks away from here. We should know. But anyway, yeah, he was briefly a member, and he is no longer a member after a 35-minute executive session discussion by the 6-member Centralia City Council last night. I tuned into the Zoom.
I knew you wouldn't actually attend. You were threatening to actually attend the meeting.
When I saw it was going to be all executive session and also had sports pages to do, I was like, I'll just tune into the Zoom.
Always a reason to miss important things like Centralia City Council, Oregon Trail Days.
So we were shouting at each other off mic before we started about the other.
Wait! Before you move off, we did have an update on this because we covered it last night. And Bloom, in his own words, claims that he's been a resident of District 1 for many, many years. He estimated 7 years.
I feel like that's the kind of thing.
He said, before I ever applied, I did my due diligence and made sure I met all the rules and qualifications. The same level of due diligence does not appear to have been done before appointing me, and then revisiting it only days later. He asked the city council to tell him in writing and on the record the reasoning of his failure to meet the qualifications, and then said this became political within 5 days of my appointment. And I believe this work was supposed to be nonpartisan and focused on the community. So we did have a little input from him. I wanted to make sure to get that in there.
Yeah. All right. And then the other thing, there's been plenty of conjecture, opinion pieces, stories out there on various sites about what happened with Norm Chapman, who was voted mayor by his councilmates in 2 weeks, a month later like that, stepped down?
In January, and then I think he stepped down in March, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't have the dates in front of me.
All right. What do you think of the whole thing?
I think what I've read is really interesting. It's intriguing, and I think it's come from. I read some of it in Zach Eckstein's as well, and then Brittany Voy, I believe, has written about it as well. Mm-hmm. What I was sharing with you is, I mean, there's a lot of conjecture, and then at the end of the day, I've done this for over 20 years, and I think anytime you have a mayoral appointment at a larger city, you have this type of stuff going on phone calls in the background.
Right.
But it is interesting that this time someone got that information, that being Brittany Voy, and that it's out there. So interesting, intriguing.
What do you think the key issue like driving it was? Not any of the interpersonal stuff. Like there's some stuff floating around about various elected officials weighing in on this, and you mentioned that kind of thing happens a lot, and I believe it does. I wish it would be done out in the public.
Yeah.
For example,
it should be
if you're
ideally.
a local state representative,
sure.
Come down to a meeting where you used to be a city council member and put it out there. But do you think it has to do with the moratorium on, building in the port or the warehouse thing?
I don't know, honestly. I would assume so. That's like the biggest issue facing us today. The story that's out there is basically Norm. So what's the claim, right? Peter Abarno told Norm he should become mayor over Kelly Smith Johnson, the previous mayor. Right. And the idea in the reporting and everything is that Norm would somehow be more in favor of lifting the moratorium, the same one he wrote a very strongly worded letter in favor of the moratorium and threatening people and speaking out against anyone who would seek to pressure him.
Right.
So that's where it kind of falls apart for me, is he's on the record as being strongly in favor of the moratorium that ostensibly, according to the reporting, Peter Abarno wanted him to be mayor so he could get rid of it.
Right.
That's the part I can't really get over. The interesting part to me is just it's never not going to be fun to read text messages that were never meant for the public between officials. There was some exchanges between Norm Chapman and Kelly Smith Johnson that I'm sure either of them would probably prefer had never become public. And then the phone records as well.
Can't relate.
I'm a little short of breaking out my yarn and tacks and putting up the display on the wall and getting that into it. But again, any sort of correspondence like that, when it makes it out to the public, I think that's cool.
Yeah, I agree. I have been following this all, and yeah, as you know, I've been a little pumped up about it. But at the end of the day, I was thinking about this on my drive home from work today. Like at the end of the day, it just seems like the issue was the port, and some people want the moratorium lifted. And there's always going to be backroom dealings and what have you, all that kind of bullshit around this kind of thing. And look, like if you're an elected official that doesn't want it there, just come down to a meeting and discuss it. Like keep it out in the open. Like none of this should be secret. It's not so much that all this backroom dealing bullshit happened. It's that it was backroom dealing. Like if you like,
I see, and that's where you and I differ because I wouldn't even call it backroom dealing bullshit. I guess I'm naive in that I've assumed that our politicians do politician things like to try to bring about the results that they want.
You have more of a history of covering this stuff. Like
I'm not negating it either. I'm just saying I assume that this is always happening. I assume that when you have a position of mayor coming open, that you're going to have some councilors that want one person, some that want another. You're going to have members of the public leaning on them, specifically other politicians outside that are impacted by the decisions of the council. I would assume that that's somewhat normal. I don't think that they're going in silent. I'd be surprised, I guess I should say, if there was a mayor who was chosen and you had 6 councilors go in and they're just like, I have no idea where this is going. This is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to figure out who our mayor is. I think most of the time there's some calculus.
So you would prefer more of a conclave situation where they all meet up with their own opinions and then start the whipping and the corralling.
I personally appreciate a strong mayor situation. So I don't think we're going back to that by any means, but that would make it a little more interesting for me as well because these are, I hate to use the word, but ceremonial mayor positions. This isn't a mayor that then gets to decide, like walk in there. You know what we're going to do? We're going to lift this moratorium. You guys, screw you guys, all 6 of you, I'm doing it, even though I'm opposed to it.
You're opposed to the moratorium?
No, I was speaking for Norm.
How do you feel about
I'm
the
in the
moratorium?
don't care category. In almost all news.
Not
Not that I don't care. I don't have a horse in the race.
Speaking of mayors, how do you feel about the start to the Brewer administration?
I mean, it's been wild, right?
It's been kind of fun.
It's good. A good couple of controversies. So,
do you think
we should have him come on here? Chris Brewer would be fun on here.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Do you think anybody that was maybe angling for Kelly Smith Johnson out and Norm Chapman in is looking at Brewer there and being like, well, what's this? What's this mean?
I don't know. I hadn't followed it that far along.
What if Brewer came out as a total wild card and tomorrow just started posting like shirtless pictures of himself on a bicycle with an AR-15 in one hand and a joint in the other, and he's like, "These are the things I love."
Oh, that'd be pretty dope.
Yeah, that would be cool. Anyway,
or photos of him and Peter Abarno just circulate, and then people are automatically like, they're canoodling.
What if they were riding a tandem bicycle together?
On their way past a warehouse of more than 100,000 square feet.
They're riding it past a warehouse to the front of a Planned Parenthood where they congratulate some protesters and shake their finger at others.
Is
Cameron
Bloom there?
Yes. Well, he's running the nightclub across the street.
No.
How do you think they
I was thinking captioned candidly on his porch in District 1.
His building over that I still wish I could remember. I think it's not first. It's second or third.
Over there somewhere.
Yeah, his building has a sign in the window that says Office of Mr. Bloom.
Ah. Well, then
not home.
That settles
not home.
it. That settles it.
So, yeah, I don't know. Some people live where they work. Maybe he does. I don't know.
There's other things you could say on the Bloom thing, too. It's just, it's now a situation where you're a public official, you take whatever crack you want at them, right? As far as like their history and things that they've done.
Yeah.
Criminal records, even if it's in the juvenile days or even if it's in, 10, 15 years ago. And I think there's things in that category without being more specific that we would, and that's kind of how I alluded. If this was going to be a swearing-in situation, I think there would have been more, but the public did a good job of informing themselves on it and informing their elected officials, it sounds like.
Have you spent any time at his nightclub?
No.
Event center, kitchen, whatever it's called.
You know me, I'm not a nightclub guy. I think I've been to like 1 or 2 nightclubs in my life.
They're not really places for guys like you and I.
No,
we prefer dark, dingy bars to do our discussing.
Yeah. And never mind. I was going to say some of your favorite Portland establishments, but I don't want to disparage your name. Old Portland isn't what it used to be. So
yeah, Old Portland.
R.I.P. Acropolis.
All right, let's get to some other news.
One thing I do want to say, and this feels wrong because this was not our reporting on the issue, but I do have a letter that we published today from Norm Chapman that
I take it all back.
explains it from his perspective. If you're interested in it, you probably want to read what Norman had to say about it. Like I told Norm when he stopped by and dropped this thing off, some Chronicle readers will not know what he's talking about, but if you are aware of the situation and have read all of the reporting available on the World Wide Web, you will find it enjoyable. He does deny that he was told by Peter Barno to do anything.
Okay. All right.
No, I'm just stating that it's there
I
for your
know.
continuing joy.
I saw it. I saw the letter. All right. We need to get to some of these news items.
God, that was a preamble.
Yeah. All right. Survey. Lewis County residents say yes to pot sales. The survey was put out a month ago. The results showed 64% of participants supported the move, while 34% were opposed and 2% just weren't sure. Survey reached 1,203 people, with 31 providing zip codes outside of Lewis County. A readout of the results of the survey, assembled by Community Development Director Mindy Brooks, also split the tally by the county's legislative districts and showed a majority of residents in all three approved of permitting cannabis retail in unincorporated areas of Lewis County. So now it'll go into the rules phase, where they will draft up county codes, which go up for approval, and then they'll do workshops and public hearings, and then they will make a recommendation to the county commissioners. I, for one, cannot wait to read the reporting from the public hearings on these. And I'm also kind of curious to see what the commissioners do once it lands in front of them. Maybe Sean Swope will trade out his Charlie Kirk hat for a Rastafarian hat.
That'd be pretty funny.
Or Scott Brummer will show up in a Cypress Hill T-shirt or something.
Also funny.
So yeah, I don't know. It's good news, and I hope the commissioners follow the will of the voters.
Yeah,
or at least the survey voters.
Yeah, that's the thing. We have a letter in today that. Probably from someone that does not support it, just questioning whether this is a survey we should really be leaning on, that it's a pretty small subset. I would argue it's a pretty large I mean, as far as polls go, this is pretty good, right?
Yeah, 1,200 people and 64% are like, do this one thing.
The exception would be, I know the county was pushing it with a QR code, which we've talked about before, your love for QR codes, and it was an online survey, so...
It wasn't just with a QR code, though.
Like, no, but it was online.
Everywhere. Yeah.
I'm saying there's probably, if you were to poll just the people unlikely to vote in an online poll or survey, it might start to tilt the other way at least a little bit, but I was really surprised. Were you surprised by these totals?
Yeah, I probably would have guessed it'd come out, in the 50s in favor, 58, 59 in favor. 64 is a little higher than I would have guessed.
I don't know how useful it would be, but to go back and compare this to Lewis County specific numbers when this was legalized in 2012. If I was off the top of my head, I want to say Lewis County was not in favor of it and was around 40% or so. But that's
I would imagine that, yeah.
Completely based on memory. I don't know. You're in favor though, right? Pot sales?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Give them their marijuana.
Yeah, get some.
Probably want to shoot them up with heroin too, don't you?
Yeah, you know what? And a fentanyl pill in every school lunch. Let's go.
As long as there's Narcan.
Yeah. And then the next item I've got is the Centralia Timberland Library Administrator stepped down. As we were recording last week, the library is only a few blocks from here. Obviously, she heard us and was like, you know what? It's time.
Yeah, I think the meeting was remote, but yeah. Yeah, no, it was by the time I got back upstairs last week, she had resigned.
Yeah, this was...
We were getting phone calls that I was ignoring during the recording that was trying to tell me that she resigned. So
was it her calling to tell you I'm resigning? Sir!
No.
Executive Director Cheryl Haywood, this was last Wednesday, was accepting the resignation, was resigning. And then there's some details in the story. Earlier this month, they sent layoff notices to about 20% of their staff to address the $3.8 million budget deficit. And then you mentioned her salary is what, 200-some thousand?
225, I think it was.
It's not a bad chunk of change.
I know. I was not even saying it's out of scale for these days for that position.
Yeah,
I took issue last week more with, she also has an administrative aide making $125,000.
Good money for an administrative aide.
Yeah.
Yes.
And my other issue that it's not just my issue, but a lot of people were taking away was that of all these layoffs, not a single one came on the admin side. So anyone making six figures and up, totally fine, still have a job. Whereas if you're a part-timer in the library or you're a librarian, your chances of no longer having a job are much higher. And so my stance is the same, that this was a necessary thing at this point. I don't think that it was going to get fixed any other way.
Speaking of budget crunches, at Town Hall, Tenino Mayor says bankruptcy possible if Tenino Police Department remains amid the city's budget crunch. This was Saturday. Tenino Mayor Dave Watterson, former mayor and current Thurston County Commissioner Wayne Fournier, and Mayor of Our Hearts Derek Sanders met with the people of Tenino. There was about 70 people in attendance. Basically, it boils down to if they keep the police department, the city could go bankrupt. The police force costs about $730,000 a year per the latest budget. Watterson proposed several different Thurston County Sheriff's Office contract options in the meeting. The cheapest and most basic would be around $200,000, giving Tenino residents the same coverage people in Rainier get, a community that has a higher population than Tenino. That surprised me. And then for $430,000, they could have a dedicated deputy on patrol within city limits for 10 hours a day, and a contract for 24/7 Thurston County Sheriff's Office presence would cost Tenino around $1.3 million. I like how Sanders has all these service options laid out, like the menu at a
it essentially is,
I
think.
Yeah. Like they just walked into the door to a spa, like a hot oil massage spa, the kind you're, a big fan of on your Instagram accounts.
Barely on Instagram. Prove it.
So... what's your take on Tenino?
I don't know. It's just the continuing narrative that we've seen for years and years and years of small towns losing their police departments and the city's residents not really liking that idea, and then it happening anyway, and apocalypse has not struck yet at any of those. So I'm thinking of like Vader, or just up the road, Rainier had a police department not all that long ago, 15 or 20 years ago. And they went through this same discussion, same debate. It sounds like it's heading for that same conclusion. 2 of their 3 officers are already gone, according to Sanders, with the third one about to lateral into the Thurston County Sheriff's Office. I thought that was kind of a funny note. And then Sanders also congratulated the Tenino Police Department, told the crowd to give him a round of applause as the most stable it's been in years. And then he was like, oh, by the way, 2 of your officers are gone and the third one's coming to us. But yeah, it goes without saying the Thurston County Sheriff's Office will do the best job that they can. And I didn't hear any hand-wringing from Sheriff Sanders in terms of, oh, well, we're going to need more resources, we're going to need more of this, more of that. It sounded like, we can handle this.
Well, Sanders doesn't wring hands, he throws hands.
Yeah, and maybe it just results, this is pure conjecture on my part, but maybe it results in more regular patrols in Tenino from the Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, could be.
I drive that road to Yelm all the time on 507, and I have to say it seems like the Sheriff's Office has a pretty good presence down there anyways, because I don't think there's been a time I've driven up there where I have not encountered at least one Thurston County Sheriff's deputy along that road somewhere.
Right.
So, I don't know. We'll see. I know the residents don't like the idea of not having their cops. We go to Vader City Council meetings from time to time now, and you still hear from residents like, well, we'd really like to have our cops back. It's really hard to tell them that's not happening there at this point. You'd have to double the size of the city's budget just for that patrol. But I'd be interested what our former reporter and sometimes podcast listener thought about it, though.
Yeah. The Chronicle is hosting the Lewis County Sheriff Candidate Forum tomorrow night, April 2nd. Doors open at 5:30 at Jester Auto Museum over on Hamilton Road, Chehalis.
You going to go?
I have sports pages once again. Gosh. Hold them at 5:30? I don't know, maybe.
You're not going to go.
Candidates, are you going to go?
I have to.
Are you?
No, I'm just joking. I'll be there. I love it.
Are you emceeing?
No, I don't believe so. If I am, I haven't been told, but I'd be proud to do it.
Maybe, I don't know. You want to go grab a couple drinks first?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
All right, maybe I'll go then. Candidates Matt McKnight, Tracy Murphy, Danny Reardon, and Kent Cheeseman have confirmed their participation. Our goal is to provide voters with an early chance to learn more about those seeking this important position while giving candidates a relaxed setting to connect with residents, Chronicle publisher Chad Taylor said in an email. He later added, I want to make them dance for me.
This whole idea, you got to give credit to Coralie Taylor, our beloved owner and CEO, and I think it's a great one. It's not a debate, so it's not going to be a contentious thing where these guys are shouting across the crowd about why they'd be better. It's just what it sounds like is a genuine chance for voters to meet the candidates very early, which you don't really have an opportunity to do before primaries, at least in these formal debate forum sessions. The chamber always do one for the general election, and so I thought Coralie had a good idea, and I think it'll be a good service to everyone. And if you can't make it, we will also, of course, be recording it and reporting on it. We'll have photos and the whole thing. It'll be fun though. Do you have a favorite of those 4? Do you have? And you don't even have to say who it is. Do you have one?
Not really.
No?
There's 1 or 2 that I that I like, but I haven't heard much from the other ones. So
You're a Cheeseman guy, I can tell.
He's got some interesting ideas.
I liked what he said about firefighters.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of candidates, Lewis County Democrats leader declares candidacy for county commissioner. This is Zach Eckstein. The race also includes incumbent Lewis County Commissioner Scott Brummer and Lewis County PUD Commissioner Mike Hadler, both Republicans. According to Eckstein, he found during his visits with community members that most didn't know who their county commissioner was, and that many felt local projects or needs were being neglected. For Eckstein, the run is a way to act on the need for representation now, as he and others continue pushing for the Board of Commissioners expansion to 5. These things all sound pretty reasonable to me. In a perfect world, I think voters would look at policies instead of the letter next to the last name. But unfortunately, I don't think Lewis County is prepared to tackle that hard truth.
No, and I think it's great. I mean, we had Damian Bean run as a Democrat against Swope in the last cycle. I think it's great to have a Democrat option on the ballot. And also, Zach's great. I mean, regardless of what you think about his politics, he's an engaged guy. He knows what he's talking about. I do think it's a big hump to get over in Lewis County at large to be a Democrat in terms of getting elected, but especially in East Lewis County. I was thinking about it, though, and this is just me. I'm dumb, and I have not picked an election thing correctly in a long time. But you do look at it like Commissioner Brummer and Hadler, the PUD commissioner, both are going to have very strong contingencies in East Lewis County. Maybe they split the Republicans, and how many Democrats do you have out there total? I don't know. You're trying to get through the primary, right? So
I think there might be more Democrats in East Lewis County than you think, just with the demographic of like Packwood.
And this will take a temperature of that because it's not something. I mean, you can go look at the presidential races, governor races, things like that, and get a general idea. But for a local race, county commissioner, I think it's good.
Yeah,
it's cool to have 3 candidates for a commissioner race so far.
Yeah, in the release in his recent interview, he referred to self-inflicted budget gaps and mentioned the commissioner's decision to pull money from the county's roads fund to pay for a public safety. He also referred to more than $500,000 spent on legal fees concerning a legal battle over the county's now defunct needle exchange restrictions aimed at gather church. This is the first I'm hearing of this. Just like basic stuff like that you present and be like, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this. We could spend this on perhaps a sewer system for Packwood or whatever they need out there.
Yeah, I don't think 500,000 going to do it on that one, but I got the sentiment it's received. I don't know how far we're out on a Packwood sewer system. That's been talked about since you and I were Cup reporters in the newsroom. But there is money there and there is momentum. They're heading in that direction.
And then the last news item I had was this Morton City Council write-up. They approved tourism funds and ordinances on new decorum rules for public meetings and Councilor Code of Conduct. The 2 ordinances passed last Monday were aimed at aligning city policy with the Open Public Meetings Act and giving staff more authority to enforce rules, along with establishing a code of conduct for the councilors themselves during meetings. They're not just going to let people stand up and yell at the council anymore. They got a podium. They also put in rules against personal attacks, approaching the council dais, profanity, loud or threatening language, and impertinent or slanderous remarks. No clapping, whistling, feet
so
stamping,
no fun anymore.
Or any other disruptions, including signs or placards that obstruct the views.
Did they put no embezzling in there just to make sure?
No.
Because they should have added that.
Not yet. But yeah, how do you feel about Morton's new rules?
No, I think it's great. I think Winlock had a similar thing. They had a special meeting earlier this week or last week. We'll have some reporting on it on Saturday. But it was the same type of stuff, just reminding people how to be polite.
Please be nice to each other.
Let's just run this well. And they usually always comes after a few contentious meetings. So
yeah, and
everyone rediscovers their city government when they're mad at it. So.
That's true. All right, let's take a quick break.
Hi, this is Jeff and Julie from Fairway Lanes.
Jeff and I met JSIC of Summit Funding at our bowling center, so when we fell in love with this community and it was time to relocate, we knew we would be calling Summit Funding.
They understand that everyone has a unique situation when buying a home.
He had already helped 2 of our employees get into their own homes. The Summit Funding team exceeded our expectations. It was a seamless experience with great communication from his whole team.
Thank you to Summit Funding for making our buying experience special and memorable.
All right, we're back. First up in segments is Tales from the Takes page. I haven't looked. We mentioned a few things already.
No, I gotta say, you were right about the income tax thing. I'm on a real cold streak for opinions. So last Thursday, I did not run an opinion page, as I told you.
Uh-huh.
And then on Saturdays, we had Braun talking about the income tax again. And prior to that, the last 4 commentaries I uploaded were about the income tax. You were correct. We are in an income tax rut when it comes to opinions right now. I have more coming, though. For Saturday, we'll do a good cleanse. I've got Mayor Fournier. I've got a bunch of letters. Today, we just had... I started to try to clear the letters pile. I've let it gain. So we'll just go through some of those headlines. And this is one I would like some answers on as well, and hopefully we can get some. Where do our lawmakers, Republican lawmakers, stand on Trump's attack on elections? I will say I want to know, I won't call it an attack on elections, just the new executive order, mail-in ballots. We're going to create a list, and if you're not on the list, you don't make it.
Unconstitutional, and I'm not really comfortable with people making lists.
That's fair. I just am very interested on how our Republican our Republican state lawmakers would weigh in on that. Because on the one hand, you don't want to speak negatively of the president, but on the other, at least state polls prior to this push were that mail-in ballot was pretty popular in Washington, no matter what poll you looked at. So I would love to know why that has changed, if in fact it has. Then we had the letter, marijuana expansion, a financial opportunity or a community cost?
What's the community cost? $20?
This is from Luis Manzo in Napavine. I love this guy's letters. He also has his own blog out there covering Napavine city government and things like that. I would encourage you to look it out. I don't know if it's a blog or just a Facebook page, but I have found out about stuff in Napavine from his page, and I thought he's done a good job. I was trying to see what his point were here.
Just from his page. You work with a Napavine city councilor, buddy.
Yeah. Well, I still learn from his page, so that tells you more about Brian. He needs to get in my ear about these matters more often. Let's see. He says many responsible adults choose cannabis, and that's their right. The question is not individual choice, but about whether expanding within our community serves long-term interests. And he notes that the Department of Health and Traffic Safety Commission have reported increases in cannabis-related emergency room visits and crashes and ongoing concerns around impaired driving.
I'm really going to have to hear our Secretary of Health and Human Services weigh in on whether or not marijuana
like that
is.
as well. I just like his voice. I don't mean to make fun of him.
You gotta stop the marijuana.
You always know when he's talking, though. Like, that's good for the radio. I listen to a lot of NPR, as you know, and I always know when it's our
He sounds
our
like a
health
sentient
secretary.
truck stop toilet. Jesus Christ.
Come on, that's mean. The case for owning an electric car, that's a letter, it sounds just like it is. Should presidents be able to start a war without declaration of Congress? Another good letter. And then letter to the editor, it's a Dennis Shane joint. You know, I always have trouble getting headlines on those. This one, he wrote his own. What is happiness?
It's a Dennis Shane joint. All right.
It's pretty good.
I think I know where he's going with that, and I like it.
Well, he's looking at the United Nations poll that they do every 3 years on the happiest nations, and he lists off the top of the list, Finland, Denmark, Sweden, and then we're number 14, the U.S. is. And then he, pontificates about why that is.
Yeah, how weird.
He does end it with, but don't forget in these dark times that America is number 1 in having the most billionaires. They'll fix it all, won't they?
Mm-hmm.
I like a Dennis Shane letter. Dennis Shane's a good
Shane's
letter
got
writer.
takes.
He's reliable. Julie McDonald wrote about her upcoming Southwest Washington Writers Conference as she does each year, and it's a good read, and it sounds like they've got some good... That's something you should go to. You should go to the writer. You would enjoy that.
Yeah, maybe.
You won't, because you're a coward. But
I haven't been getting out very much lately.
Yeah, well.
But, I'm working on that.
Anyways, that's Tales from the Takes page, and we'll try to get some non-income tax related stuff for next week. But it did just get signed day before yesterday, so I can't promise those takes aren't still coming.
I as you know, I get the state lawmakers roundup from both parties, and one of the Republicans had a story or column from the Capitol Press about how is this going to impact farmers? And I was like, we got farmers making over $1 million, so I think they'll be okay.
No, see, that's where you're wrong, though. It's a cash on hand issue. Like, they could be taxed for it because they have that certain amount of money at that time that is going to be reinvested. It does throw. I've read some reporting on that.
I feel like, aren't there tax write-offs? Isn't that the point?
I have read reporting that it will affect farmers, but. Well, could be wrong. I don't know. You could be right, too. It's never going to affect anyone. It's all fine. I definitely haven't been reading about mass amounts of businesses and individuals leaving the state, so we're good there.
Yeah.
False. I have been.
I like the one that's like already impacting. It's like already
Yeah,
hitting
that
the
one
pocket.
was
It's
good.
like it doesn't start for 3 years.
Yeah, that was a Center Square story. And they did right away say, the realtor says we shouldn't look into this, but,
Yeah.
what if we did? They've had reporting since then. And then, is it Sotheby's? That's the
Sotheby's,
big,
the real estate thing,
They talked
yeah.
to them in Seattle, and now they are saying, the highest priced homes are going on the market. People are being proactive and getting ahead of this before it actually goes into effect. But whatever, we'll figure it out as we go.
All right. History should
Look at me saying I have too many income tax takes, and I'm giving you my income tax take.
History should repeat itself. This one is from 1936. The headline for the whole roundup from Owen was world-renowned billiards player visits Centralia, night flight start in Chehalis, and retired railroad engineer honored. I just went with the first one. This is from 1936. World-renowned billiards player Charles Seebeck was set to visit the Centralia Elks Club to give free lessons, along with a 2-hour exhibition. From the story, the salient reason the Seebecks visit to Centralia should not be passed by billiard fans is because the New Yorker is regarded in billiard circles as one of the best instructors in the land. Seebeck comes here in connection with the third annual Better Billiards program, sponsored by the National Billiard Association of America. And during his 2-hour engagement here, will demonstrate and teach the fundamentals of the game to novices and mediocre players, in addition to special exhibition of fancy shots. Women, as well as men, are invited to take advantage of this offer. Seebeck won billiards championships in New England and Canada and took fourth in the National Association Championship in 1935. Also, back in 1936, you could just write a letter to the newspaper and say you were a famous pool player. There wasn't really any way to check, was there?
I don't know about that. We had wire, right? That would come tickering in. I don't know. I wasn't alive in 1936.
You
so I
fire
don't
off
know.
a telegram to New York. It's like, hey, is this billiards guy real? And then
Yeah.
somebody maybe is like, sure.
If there's one thing I know about the Chronicle is that it does not make mistakes.
That's true. Never,
Current,
never
present,
won.
or past, we are always on the ball.
You know who else never makes mistakes? Our friend.
Well, at first,
that
it's too late. Just go. I was gonna say, is that your mid-Atlantic accent, your transatlantic accent? I learned about that recently.
Yeah, I've been trying to do a transatlantic accent, East Coast kind of clipped.
I read
50s thing.
that accent was faked, that we were just trying to come up with a new way, and so broadcasters and whatnot started
Yeah.
talking like that.
It was in like broadcasters and movies in the 30s and 40s used it.
but it wasn't like used in public,
I don't think so. Like,
which really just hurts my vision of reality at the time. Everybody was talking to each other like that.
no, not really.
Oh, okay.
It's just kind of a cool affectation people picked up to sound fancy.
All right. I'm sorry for holding you up there.
No, yeah, Chehalis Outfitters. What's any word from our buddy Kelly? Isn't the canning seminar this weekend? They got some Easter stuff too.
Yeah, they do. They've got the Easter Bunny coming. I'll just pull it up so I don't get it wrong here. First of all, they are still in the midst of their keeping it dry sale, or keeping dry sale, not keeping it dry. Looks like they got a lot of flowers and stuff on sale though. If you're starting your garden out, free photos with the Easter Bunny, April 2nd and 3rd, 5 to 7 p.m., and then 4th through 5th. So the next 4 days, you'll be able to find the Easter Bunny. It's 5 to 7 on the 2nd and 3rd, and then 11 to 2 p.m. on the 4th and 5th.
Sounds like fun.
Also, I think I lied about the keeping dry sale. I don't think that's still going anymore.
Well, you can still find stuff for
It's the Spring Has Sprung sale. That's what I
there
meant
you
to
go.
say. At Chehalis Outfitters now, let's see if I can find some of their good stuff that's going on there. They got Easter Bingo. Oh, that's happening right now.
Oh, I bet that's a lot of fun.
Their Easter egg
You
hunts.
guys do any big Easter stuff?
We do it at the house. We usually just do an Easter egg hunt in the yard for the kids.
Oh.
Easter egg hunt in-store event at Chehalis Outfitters, which we have a big roundup of all local Easter egg hunts. Not all. There's going to be some we missed, but it's at chronline.com now. The one at Chehalis Outfitters, which sounds really cool because it's indoors, and if you're worried about rain, you don't need to be, is noon to 2 p.m. April 4th, and then on Easter from 2 to 4 p.m. So you can go to Chehalis Outfitters on Easter if you haven't prepared anything for your children, and then you'll be able to have fun here. There's special gold eggs with bigger prizes.
Ooh, all right. Science Banger of the Week. A suspect committed armed robbery with a pistol on Ellsbury Street in Centralia Saturday, stealing multiple nicotine products and demanding money, then fleeing on foot. Anything you want to tell me?
That wasn't me. A juvenile.
The police arrested and booked a juvenile into the
You blame Bob Ferguson for this crime.
juvenile detention center. Have I ever told you the story? I'm sure I have. But years ago, it was summer, and Ty and I were sitting in Burgerville, just eating burgers, looking out the window, and it was like football training camp was going on, We see a kid walking by in full football, like pants and everything, with his pads slung over his shoulder, walking towards the stadium, smoking a cigarette.
Oh, that's
It's
awesome.
like, hell yeah. I bet that kid's so good.
It's not awesome. That's terrible.
Yeah, that was Sirens Banger of the Week. Any good Sirens Bangers I missed?
Man, off the top of my head, I don't have any. There's been a lot of crime news this week, but as usual, none of it's like the fun, quirky, funny crimes that you seem to believe exist in society.
Just a
We
lot
had
of
some
like,
public urination and defecating in public in Chehalis, if that interests you.
well, I mean, that's always fun, depending on the context.
So let's see what. Aside from that, we had a report on the woman over the weekend that crashed over near the Chehalis Avenue apartments. Apparently had been running since. I was just surprised it was a woman. That was usually it's a man who's running. She crashed outside Chehalis Avenue apartments after fleeing from Cowlitz County. She was in court. A 30-year-old woman from Oregon. There was an engaged couple, a little romantic story, if you will,
Go on.
out in Randall. Who burglarized a trucking business for scrap wire. It just grabbed me because
Look, man, weddings are expensive.
farmers' story starts
I
with
hear.
an engaged couple. And I was like, oh, man, you don't really get that in crime very often. That's kind of like the Valentine's Day near shooting that we had.
Yeah.
It wasn't a shooting, though. Yeah, other than that, that looks fine for Sirens Banger.
All right. Is your roof under the weather? I'm
That's
just gonna
good. I
come
thought
out
you were
and say
going to
it.
forget them again.
No, I put them back on the note document. Somebody forgot them. I think intern accidentally deleted them at some point.
Cold.
The Roof Doctor awaits your house call. Get a free estimate. Learn all about the services offered by the Roof Doctor. And there are multiple locations. They got places all over. Thurston County. I see their office in Tumwater all the time. On my way up to work in the big city. Then I drive to the golf course south of town, New Wacom. See another Roof Doctor headquarters. They're all over the place. Did you know they also have offices in Bremerton, Hoquiam, Longview, and Shelton?
I did not know that.
Did you know
Wow.
they had roofs in Hoquiam?
No, I did not.
And they're all
That
fantastic
goes against my lived experience.
because the Roof Doctor is there. Also provide solar equipment on top of your roof.
I bet you could see all the Roof Doctor jobs with a simple aerial photo of Hoquiam.
Yeah. Beautiful black squares atop fading painted houses and whatnot.
Surrounded by just deteriorating cedar planks.
Hoquiam has interestingly colored houses, and I'm not sure if that's just like you get closer to the coast, you see more of that.
Yeah, I was told when I moved here, because that was something I noticed as a kid, literally ninth grade, moving up to Forks, and I was like, what's up all these bright houses? And the explanation I was told by a Forks resident, because I had orange shag carpet in my house when we moved there, was that the big migrations into the Olympic Peninsula happened during the hip 60s and 70s. So a lot of the fashion was different, coloring was different, and a lot of people chose to go with those brightly colored paints. I don't know if that's true, but it satisfied me.
Yeah, all right. Check out the Roof Doctor at theroofdoctor.com or give them a call, 360-736-0246. People's Champion of the Week. I've got Arbor Health Morton Hospital Emergency Department, which won its second straight Excellence in Healthcare Award.
Yeah, it's not bad. I've got nothing else to go with that.
All right. Facebook comments of the week. I only have one.
Oh, thank God.
It's on Zach Eckstein's announcement. And this person says, LOL, East Lewis County would never vote in a Democrat. Plain and simple. To which I say, bold of Anthony Mixer to laugh at somebody who thinks won't win an election.
Was that the commenter's name?
That was the commenter, yes.
Well, I don't get the just strong opposition to the very thought of a Democrat running. We have only two parties. Like it's not it's not as though this is some like extreme left wing. I mean, enemy of the people according to the president, but so are we. So
and like the idea that you're out there, whoa, never a Democrat. Everything is going pretty well around here.
it doesn't hurt anything to have him out there with his ideas. Come on, more people in the race, the better. I've always said that.
Yeah, exactly. And worst case scenario, his ideas on the campaign trail forces, Brummer and Hadler or whoever to address some of the things he's bringing up and provide some solutions,
Yeah, like especially in the chance that Zach made it through, or if any Democrat made it through to the primary, the general, it would be interesting to have that dynamic on stage, as it was with Swope and Damian Bean. It's nice to have two people that disagree on some stuff.
Yeah.
Lobbing ideas, policies back and forth, than two people that maybe agree on 99.9% of everything, and you're just kind of trying to convince people you're better.
Yeah.
So, are you going to run? You gonna run for commission?
I am not, no.
Yeah.
I hear there's an open city council spot.
You could. I mean, if you're in District 1,
I'm not. I looked at the map, and I think I'm across the street. I don't know if I count.
So I would count then.
You would count, yeah.
I would never. I'd never survive the vetting process.
Yeah, that's a little a concern here, too.
If I was running, the first thing we do, which is the thing we did with the case of Garrett Blue, is you just start Googling and then searching through your various court programs and things like that. I would have had to tell the newsroom, don't do any reporting. Everything's right here in the bio. It's fine. You don't got to worry about anything else. I'm not trying to sneak
just
anything.
Go to the Chronicle back end, do a Control F of your own name, and start hitting delete, delete.
Claim that I'm Prothman approved.
Anything else you want to add?
I'll do a quick roundup of things we missed. You gave me a lot of shit recently about always putting the Onalaska Aquaculture Program on the front page of the Chronicle, so I've got news for you, buddy.
Fisher Leaks marks ongoing success of Onalaska Aquaculture Program.
I've been out sick. It was our best art option. If I had been here yesterday, I might have tried, just so I didn't have to prove you wrong. We also have from the MDN, fundraiser aims to create memorial for Rainier's Borgen brothers. Those were the two teen brothers who were gunned down in Lacey last year that we've been reporting on. We got a pair of interviews with Rep. Orcutt and another with Rep. Abarno, just talking about their wins and losses at the state legislature. The Orcutt piece is in the Thursday edition. Wolfhaven secured $220,000 from the state for its new Treehouse Learning Center, which sounds awesome.
Wolves in trees?
I think it's for children. They're going to be dangling over the wolves. No, that's not what it is. It's just like a learning thing. Tomorrow we're going to go cover Napavine High School's holding a cool, at least it sounds cool to me, career expo with students from throughout Lewis County. So we're going to go shoot that, have some photos of it at the very least. Chronicle's supposed to be there, but the list of businesses is like, I want to say like 30 or 40 businesses plus colleges. Rutherford, Mr. Rutherford out there, who won the CTE Regional CTE Director of the Year Award.
And that's career and technical education, not concussion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He looks like he's done a bang-up job in putting this thing together. We also have Grays Harbor County man sentenced to 9 years in elk spree killing. That's WDFW word for it. Killed at least 5 elk and was just shooting them and letting them die.
Geez, that's not great.
And then,
there's a story on Bodega by Ox opening downtown as well. I'm just looking at the pictures. The shepherd's pie looks incredible.
All their food looks really good, and Owen has been reporting on them since. So their catering location's kitty corner across the street in the old Bocata location. Yeah. And it's very interesting how they're running the bodega. They're like cooking a lot of their food over at the old Bocata and jarring it and then taking it over because they don't have a commercial kitchen and preparing it there. But I am told the food is just fantastic.
It looks incredible.
We have to check it out one of these days.
So they are, they're in the old 86th on Tower, that corner there.
Yeah, and 86th on Tower is not closed. They've just moved to a new location.
They are in the bottom of the building down there with Berryfields in it.
Oh, okay. Branch?
Yeah, the building with Branch. What's the Antique Mall?
Yeah.
I mean, everything's kind of an antique mall.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where they are.
And then other than that, did you go to the No Kings 3 protest?
I did not make it to any protest this weekend, no.
Well, that's too bad.
But I did see, you sent me a comment from somebody upset at the lack of representation at the.
Yeah, I don't think the Republican Party announced their own protest for the same time. I don't have a number, but this person, what did they say? They said they were outnumbered 500-1 and was kind of lambasting Republicans for not showing out for it. What
is the case for Bob Ferguson being a king?
The income tax, sir.
He didn't do that himself.
No, but I think it's a few pieces of legislation where there were thousands of people opposed to it. Not that I'm not aware of the whole fake commenter thing that also happened. Just not allowing things to go to initiatives in the case of the income tax. But no, I'm not going to make the case. But I think that people would make the same case that Trump is not a king either, but he was elected. But I'm not here to make either case. Just let me make that
There's
clear.
some interesting questions about the electoral system.
Yeah, there
You know,
is.
just
Every
asking
time there is an
questions.
election now, depending on who wins, the other side's going to say that side cheated. It's almost
Yeah.
like a precedent was set.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
In closing, we're sponsored by Summit Funding, Chehalis Outfitters, and the Roof Doctor. Leave a review and rating on Apple Podcasts if you want, or send us an email at chroniclenewsdump@gmail.com.